I want to ask you more broadly, because people like Senator Van Hollen, who is going to be on here, will talk about the principle and the spirit and the meaning of U.S. law. And you know that past presidents have withheld military aid to Israel to force changes in behavior. President Reagan did that. President Bush did that. Why do you have a problem with President Biden doing it?
Well, first off, when you talk about the principle and the spirit of U.S. law, it sounds to me like they're not talking about the letter of U.S. law, because Tony Blinken's own report concluded they did not violate U.S. law. Ronald Reagan's decision to pause the delivery of fighter jets in the 1980s was totally different from what's happened here. Israel is fighting a war of survival against a terrorist group that committed the worst atrocity against Jews since World War II. In the 1980s, an Israeli ambassador had been targeted for assassination. Ronald Reagan knew that the pause of fighter jets would not interfere with Israel's fighting because they had plenty of fighters. He did not pause munitions. Joe Biden is not sending munitions in the middle of a shooting war that's a war of survival. And look at the broader context. Israel knew that Ronald Reagan had its back in the region. He sank half of Iran's navy. Joe Biden has consistently given Iran hundreds of billions of dollars of sanctions relief that exactly funded groups like Hamas and Hezbollah.
They dispute that, and they are still sending weapons. But last month, Donald Trump told Time magazine Bibi Netanyahu rightfully has been criticized for what took place on October 7th. Do you agree with that assessment? Are you comfortable with any criticism of the prime minister?
Look, I think Prime Minister Netanyahu and other senior Israeli leaders have acknowledged they have responsibility for the failures on October 7th. And they've said, as is the Israeli custom, when this war is over, there'll probably be a commission of inquiry to figure out exactly what went wrong to ensure it doesn't happen again. But President Trump said just last night that he would absolutely provide Israel with the weapons they need to finish the job. This would have never happened on President Trump's watch. It didn't happen on his watch. Wow. And if he were president, this war would have probably already been over with much less civilian suffering in Gaza, because he would have backed Israel to the hilt from the beginning.
Well, that's a debate on counterfactuals for another day, Senator, but it's good to have you here in person.